A big Sony announcement has been confirmed for November the 19th. Will Sony finally announce the A1 Mark II for an extra $1,000, support CF Express Type B, and deliver 8K video up to 60 frames per second to take on the Canon EOS R1 and the Nikon Z9? And what about the Sony A7 IV? I've got all the information, but before we get to the details, please subscribe to this channel. It doesn't cost you anything, helps this channel grow, and keeps you up to date on the latest camera coverage. Sony Alpha Rumors had previously indicated that Sony would indeed be making a big announcement, that it would happen on the heels of Sony's Creative Space 2024, which falls on November the 20th and 21st. Well, Andrea Pizzini now confirms, without a doubt, that the event will occur on November the 19th at 2 p.m. London time or 9 a.m. Eastern time. That's Toronto and New York time. And Sony will be announcing 2 products. And if you've been following Sony Alpha Rumors, well, you know that there's 3 products that we could get announced. The Sony A7 IV, which would be an incredibly very popular camera following up on the success of the A7 IV. And of course, the Sony A1 II, or the A1 Mark II, as well as a lens. Well, Andrea Pizzini did confirm that we are getting the Sony A1 Mark II.
On November 19, we will get 2 products, the Sony A1 II flagship E-mount alpha camera and the 28-70mm 2.0 GM.
And while in a previous post, Andrea did say that we could expect to see the A7 V, the A1 II, and that 28-70mm lens, he didn't say for 100% sure. He wasn't saying this is coming from trusted sources. He just said based on the information that he had, these are the most likely candidates. So the A7 V, when are we getting that camera? Well, Andrea Pizzini did say that we could expect to see that in 2025. He went on to then say it could happen in a couple of months. So we're still looking at Q1 2025 for the A7 V, but this event is all about the Alpha 1 Mark II. So what are the specs? Well, the Alpha 1 had a 50 megapixel backside illuminated sensor. And the Alpha 1 Mark II, well, it also gets the same 50 megapixel resolution, and according to Andrea Pizzini, it's the exact same sensor. Now, what I assume is going on here is it's not 100% identical. Sony's probably made some sort of enhancements to the layout of the circuitry, to the architecture of the chip, to provide us with some level of improvements, to also to be able to take into account the much faster throughput speeds that we're going to see in this camera, because this is really good news here, folks. Well, the camera isn't going to support CF Express Type B, Gen 3 or Gen 4. It is going to support CF Express Type A, Gen 4. That's significant. You know why? Well, what this chart shows us is the transfer speeds of Gen 3 for CF Express Type B. Take a look at those speeds. That's for Gen 3, which most cameras on the marketplace support at this point. And here's Gen 4. Look at those same speeds, only now we see it on Type A. So the big deal of supporting CF Express Type A Gen 4 is there's no longer that need to feel like you're missing something out by not having CF Express Type B. You get the same speeds that I currently shoot with the Canon EOS R5, the R5 Mark II. You get those same speeds of around 1.5 gigabytes per second with Type A cards, or you will with the Sony A1 II, and of course, you'll need cards that actually support those speeds. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh my God, this is going to cost a lot. It already cost an awful lot of money to pick up CF Express Type A cards for Sony cameras. However, prices are significantly coming down. With Angelbird having released the AV Pro SE cards for Sony cameras, we can now pick up 330 gigabytes for $229, 160 gigabytes for $129, and 1 terabyte cards for $499. Huh, that's interesting. It's end of life. Huh, I wonder why that could be. So who knows, maybe Angelbird's getting ready to refresh their products, but the point is, supporting CF Express Type A Gen 4 gives us much faster speeds, allowing Sony to go much faster than 10 frames per second, even at 50 megapixels. To give you a bit of an idea, whether you're shooting with a Nikon Z8, the Nikon Z9, the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, the R5 Mark I, you're able to shoot at a minimum of 20 frames per second, and then you can go all the way up to 120 frames per second on the Nikon Z8 and Z9. Granted, you're dropping the resolution, but on the R5 Mark II, well, we can get speeds of 30 frames per second shooting RAW. That's pretty impressive. That's really fast speeds, and that's shooting with CF Express Type B. But Gen 3, we're not talking about Gen 4. So far, none of the cameras that have been released this year support Gen 4. I mean, Gen 3 already gives you 1.5 gigabytes per second. So what other enhancements or capabilities are we seeing with the Sony A1 II? Well, according to Andrea Pizzini, it is going to have a different style body. It's going to be in keeping with what we see in the A9 III. And it's going to be, sadly, more expensive. But the autofocus system's definitely going to be faster. The throughput, the data processing from the sensor to the card is going to be faster. So while Sony Alpha Rumors does say that the sensor hasn't changed, I wouldn't be surprised if some changes have been made to the architecture to support those faster throughput speeds. But now the price. You might have thought it was a little clickbaity in the beginning, but we could very well see a $1,000 price increase with the A1 II. And actually, listen to Andrea say this himself.
I'm just guessing wildly. I'm assuming the worst case scenario here is that it will have to cost at least $1,000 more to really create a gap between the Sony 1 and the Sony 1 II. Would make no sense if this would cost $6,999, in my opinion, compared to $6,499. Would love it, but just guessing that it's more likely to cost $7,500, $8,000.
So he's not 100% sure that's true, but worst case scenario, $1,000 more. But I'm thinking if it's going to cost more based on what he's saying, you should brace yourself for a price between, well, $64.99 and $74.99, which, yeah, that's very pricey. That's the most expensive camera out there. The Canon R1, it dropped in price from $64.99 with the 1DX Mark III, dropping down to $62.99 for the R1. And you know why this is happening? Because Nikon, when they released the Z9, dropped the price $1,000 from $64.99 to $54.96. So I hope the Alpha 1 isn't that highly priced. And you might be looking at these specs and saying, you know what, there's nothing in these specs that indicate that this camera is revolutionary in any way, and it's not. But according to Andrea Pizzini, well, the specs don't necessarily indicate that it's revolutionary. There is a lot of new enhancements to this camera that does provide it with more enhanced capabilities. And one thing I can say with the R5 Mark II, there were a lot of leaked specifications on this camera. And when it came out, a lot of people thought, you know what, this is not really much of a difference over the Mark I. And for a lot of people, it wasn't. You might look at the A1 II and say, you know what, the A1's more than sufficient for what I do. And you could be correct. But one of the biggest enhancements I saw to the R5 Mark II was the autofocus system. It was as though Canon leapfrogged, well, not leapfrogged, it's like they went 10 years into the future. The autofocus system in the Mark II is significantly more advanced over the Mark I. The ability to stick onto the subject so much better, even if that subject is moving. If you're playing basketball, soccer, or some other sports like volleyball, it would be able to lock on to the person that has the ball. Not lock onto the ball, but lock onto the eyes of the person with the ball. And if the ball changed hands, it would change focus. It's just faster, it's better, and I think we might be seeing enhancements like that to the Alpha 1 too. But if it does cost $1,000 more, that's going to be a little bit scary. But back to the date. So November the 19th at 2 p.m. London time. Now we do go through, I think our clocks change here in North America. So it's going to be 9 a.m. here instead of 10 a.m. I will get verification on that, but the way, based on what I'm seeing online, I used an online chart. 2 p.m. London time works out to be 9 a.m. Eastern time, Toronto and New York time. And I will be doing a live stream. I'll start it about 1 hour before. We'll talk about the latest leaked specifications. We'll have my expert panel chime in and say, who is the Mark II for? Should you get the A1 II, or should you stick with the A1? Or even better, should you get the A9 III? Now, one thing, if you didn't quite pick on having the exact same sensor, that means that the A1 II, despite what some Sony customers were hoping for, there's no global shutter in the A1 II. So there's that. I think it has to do with the resolution. It's just, I don't make it up, guys. I'm just reporting it. And a big thanks to Andrea Pizzini at Sony Alpha Rumors and a YouTube channel by the same name. Guys, this guy is really on the ball when it comes to Sony stuff. You know, while I do compete with Andrea, I also consider him a friend. So if you're a regular viewer of this channel, please reach out, subscribe to his channel, follow his website. I'm more of a video guy, so I really like his YouTube channel. But, he's always publishing information. And when it comes to Sony, nobody gets it as accurate as he does. And Sony's one of the hardest companies to follow. So I have a live stream later tonight at 11 p.m. to cover off the big Canon announcement where we have 5 lenses. And of course, on November the 19th, I haven't scheduled it first. I'll be doing a live stream, most likely at 8 a.m. in the morning, right in prime school time, to bring you the coverage of the Sony A1 II, and of course, that new full-frame GM lens, the f2 28 to 70 millimeter. And if you're interested in picking up the Sony A1 II, I've already got the smart pre-order links in the description down below. They're not going to work right now, but once the embargo is lifted, you'll be able to use these links, and you should be able to get your order in, well, anywhere from 5 to 35 seconds before anybody else, because it'll show you all the different options available. But one thing too, a source of transparency, using my pre-order links, these are what really keeps this channel on the air. You're supporting this channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra. You're getting a brand new camera, or you're getting a discount if you're buying something else. You're buying directly from the retailer, Adorama, B&H, or Amazon. And then I get a small fee or small commission back that supports this channel. It's the best of both worlds. I don't put in any 30, 60, or even 90-second video spots at the beginning of the video. I'm not going to do that. It's because of your supports using the pre-order links, my affiliate links down below, that keep this channel on the air. I don't want to have to do those videos for those of you, for the few of you, 10% of you that actually pay YouTube a fee every month so you don't get ads. I think it's really annoying to stick those in there. And usually I talk about pre-order links and affiliate links right at the end of the video. So if you're not interested, you can tune off. But at least the pre-order links, the affiliate links, the cameras that I'm talking about, they're all related to what you're interested in instead of robo vacuums or Squarespace or something else. Thank you so much for watching to the very end of the video. Have yourself a great day, a great night. Join us for the live stream tonight, even if you're not interested in the Canon lenses. If you've got questions about Sony, I'll answer those as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have yourself a great day, and we'll see you again soon. Wouldn't be surprised if you see me in a few hours. Well, a few hours, I mean 4 hours, because I'm expecting more leaked information on those Canon products to be announced at midnight tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you again soon.